Long ago, in the vast expanse of northern Africa, nestled in the region we now know as Sudan, there thrived a kingdom that would etch its name into the annals of history, the Kingdom of Kush. While the land of Nubia, encompassing modern-day Sudan, had been inhabited since 8000 BCE, it was the rise of the Kushite civilization that would leave an indelible mark. The tale began with the Kerma culture, emerging around 2500 BCE in the city of Kerma, where signs of an advanced society started to take root. As the wheels of time turned, contact between the Egyptians and the people of Kush began during Egypt's early dynastic period. The Kerma culture, a precursor to the later Kushite civilization, evolved under the watchful influence of the Egyptians. While the roots of this story stretch far back, the Kingdom of Kush truly flourished between 1069 BCE and 350 CE. As the new Kingdom of Egypt faced its final decline around 1069 BCE, the Kushite city-state of Napata seized the opportunity. With Egypt preoccupied by internal troubles, Napata became the heart of the burgeoning Kingdom of Kush. A shift in power was imminent. Kushite kings rose to prominence, not only ruling their own kingdom but extending their influence across the borders. They ascended to the coveted position of Egypt's 25th dynasty pharaohs, ushering in an era where the politics of Thebes were dominated by Kushite princesses in the revered role of God's wife of Amun. Kashta, a Kushite king of remarkable stature, stepped onto the Egyptian throne around 750 BCE. His daughter, Amenerte's Eye, became the first Kushite god's wife of Amun, solidifying their influence. This was just the beginning, as other mighty Kushite kings followed suit, reigning until the Assyrian invasion led by Ashurbanipal in 666 BCE. The winds of change brought challenges though. In 590 BCE, the Egyptian pharaoh, Psammetichus II, sacked Napata, prompting the relocation of the Kushite capital to Meroe. This marked a shift in the sands of destiny for the Kingdom of Kush. Yet, the glory persisted, surviving an invasion by the Aksumites around 330 CE. Meroe, standing tall as the new capital, faced its own fate, succumbing to the Aksumite invasion and sealing the kingdom's destiny. The once thriving Kingdom of Kush finally faded into history around 350 CE, a tale of rise and fall echoing through the ages. But what's in a name? To the Egyptians, it was Kushite, the land of the bow, a nod to the skilled archers of Kush. The indigenous name Kush seemed to echo through time, while Nubia, a later name, perhaps came from the Egyptians themselves. The region, rich in gold, became the Egyptians' coveted source, leading to the term Nubia, possibly rooted in the Egyptian word for gold, nub. As the chapters of this ancient saga unfolded, different cultures bestowed names upon this land. The Greeks and Romans saw it as Ethiopia, recognizing the burnt-faced persons, and the Arab tribes called it Bilad al-Sudan, the land of the blacks. These designations painted a vivid picture of a land where civilizations rose and fell, leaving behind a legacy that resonates even today. In the ancient land of Kush, a city named Kerma emerged around 2400 BCE. This city, perched on the banks of the Nile, was no ordinary settlement. It wielded enough power to make even the mighty Egypt take notice. Egyptian inscriptions and forts, built to fend off raids from the south, spoke of the strength that emanated from Kerma. Yet, amidst potential conflict, a curious dance of trade unfolded between Kerma and Egypt. The kings of Kerma and Egypt struck a lucrative deal that benefited both realms. Egypt, thirsty for the riches of Kush, relied on the import of gold, ebony, incense, exotic animals, and ivory, fostering a relationship that thrived on mutual prosperity. Central to the city of Kerma was a remarkable structure known as the Defufa, a towering religious center rising 59 feet, 18 meters high. The largest, known as the Western Defufa, stood as a testament to the spiritual heart of the city. Surrounding this sacred ground were walls, enclosing the burgeoning city that thrived under the watchful gaze of these mud brick fortifications. The Kerma culture, flourishing from around 2400 BCE to 1500 BCE, not only weathered the conquest by the Egyptian king Mentuhotep II during the Middle Kingdom, but continued to thrive. In the complex tapestry of the Second Intermediate Period of Egypt, Kerma's metropolis stood as a formidable force, threatening Egypt in tandem with the Hyksos, who had established their own power in Egypt's northern delta. Trade flourished at Thebes until the mighty Ahmose I, around 1570 to 1544 BCE, vanquished the Hyksos from Egypt. The tides of war shifted south as Amos I marched to defeat the Kushites. Egyptian campaigns into Kush persisted under Thutmose I and Thutmose III, marking the end of the Kerma period around 1500 BCE. Thutmose III then laid the foundations of the city of Napata, a city destined to become a pivotal chapter in Kushite history. Napata, influenced by Egyptian culture from its inception, witnessed rulers buried beneath pyramid tombs adorned with Egyptian grave goods. The lack of a written record made dating these graves a challenge, weaving a detective story where facts had to be unraveled into a coherent narrative. Under the reign of Thutmose III, the great temple of Amun was constructed below the mountain of Jebel Barkal, marking the spiritual zenith of the region. Napata, enriched by trade, became a city of wealth, and the priests of Amun gradually wielded political power over Kushite rulers, much like their influence over Egyptian kings. As Egypt's new kingdom faced decline around 1069 BCE, Napata seized the opportunity to grow stronger independently. The priests of Amun, rising in power at Thebes, created a power vacuum that Kush effortlessly filled. The Kingdom of Kush emerged around 1069 BCE, and Napata was chosen as its capital. No longer bound by Egyptian rulers, Kush traded with Egypt while expanding its commerce to other nations. The kingdom's strength burgeoned, reaching a point where it could assert its will over Egypt. Surprisingly, instead of entering Egypt as conquerors, the Kushites approached as rulers, driven by the intent to preserve Egyptian culture. In the flow of ancient Egypt's history, the Third Intermediate Period cast its shadow, witnessing a gentle wane in the nation's wealth and prestige. As Egypt faced its own tribulations across the Nile, the Kingdom of Kush bathed in prosperity. Alara, the first Kushite king of recorded history, became a revered figure, weaving religious rites into the fabric of Napata's identity. Following in Alara's footsteps was Kashta, a king enamored with Egyptian culture. He breathed life into Napata, importing artifacts that echoed the grandeur of the north. In a quiet dance of influence, Kashta's daughter, Amenertes I, ascended to the coveted position of God's wife of Amun at Thebes, a move that would later shift the very balance of power. As Egypt's grip weakened, Kashta declared himself king of Upper and Lower Egypt without raising an army or clashing swords with the Egyptians. Thus, the 25th dynasty of Egypt was born, draped in the regal attire of Kushite monarchy. The torch passed to Kashta's son, Piye, a ruler who would leave an indelible mark on the pages of history. The princes of Lower Egypt, however, vehemently objected to Piye's endeavors to consolidate Kushite rule. Unyielding, Piye marched his army north, a formidable force that conquered cities and subdued opposition. Yet, unlike conquerors, he allowed the conquered kings to retain their thrones, a wise move that acknowledged their authority while solidifying his lordship. Piye's reign was brief, and upon his departure to Napata, his brother Shabaka ascended the throne. Lower Egypt, rebellious again, felt the might of Shabaka's rule as he firmly established Kushite control. Shabaka, contrary to claims of a dark time, admired Egyptian culture and preserved its essence. His reign breathed life into the temples, and his son, Meroitic, became the high priest of Amun at Thebes, embodying the unity of Kushite rule and Egyptian tradition. Shabaka, Shabaka's successor, faced challenges on a broader stage, clashing with the formidable Assyrians. The Assyrian king Esarhaddon, seeking to quell rebellion in the north, marched on Egypt. The Assyrians clashed with the Kushite king Taharqa, resulting in defeat and the capture of noble families. Taharqa, however, managed to escape, leaving his successor Tantamani to navigate the tumultuous waters of Assyrian aggression. The tides turned against Tantamani as Ashurbanipal, the ruthless king of Assyria, defeated him in 666 BCE, marking the end of the Kushite dynasty's rule over Egypt. The ancient tale of the 25th dynasty, a chapter of power, cultural interweaving, and clashes with external forces, left an enduring legacy etched in the sands of time. As the 25th dynasty of Egypt met its demise under the watchful eyes of Tantamani, the political stage shifted once more. Necho I, an Egyptian puppet king installed by the Assyrians, marked a brief interlude before Psammetichus I, a true Egyptian, rose to reclaim Egypt's sovereignty. The dawn of the 26th dynasty ushered in an era of relative stability under the wise rule of Psammetichus I and his successors. Yet, the lust for military glory gripped Psammetichus II, propelling him to embark on a campaign against Kush. The once mighty Napata fell under the onslaught, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The city, now a mere echo of its former self, bore witness to the ebb and flow of power. Amidst the ruins, the capital of the Kingdom of Kush sought refuge further south, finding solace in the embrace of a new city, Meroe. Here, the kings of Meroe continued to dance to the tunes of Egyptian customs, following policies and religious practices set by their predecessors. The priests of Amun, wielding an ancient authority, dictated the rhythm of royal reigns. Then, a king emerged, Arkamani I, whose disdain for the priestly sway led to a pivotal moment in Meroitic history. With Greek philosophy as his guide, he shattered the chains of tradition, slaughtering the priests and dismantling their influence. Arkamani I forged a new path, steering away from Egyptian culture and embracing the distinct identity of Kush. In this cultural metamorphosis, Arkamani I introduced the enigmatic Meroitic script, defying decipherment to this day. The winds of change blew through Meroe, altering the very fabric of its society. The gods of Egypt faded into the background, making room for deities like Aptemak. Tradition, too, witnessed a transformation as royal burials shifted from Napata to Meroe's embrace. Arkamani I's legacy also birthed a unique chapter in Meroitic history, the era of Candaces. These queens, adorned with regal prowess, ruled between 284 BCE and 314 CE. They stood as symbols of female autonomy, defying conventional norms. Shenekteketi, clad in armor, led her troops into battle, leaving an indelible mark on the tapestry of Meroe's history. As Meroe flourished, its wealth reverberated beyond the Nile's banks. An agricultural and industrial hub, Meroe's ironworks and trade routes fueled its prosperity. Legends even spoke of a Persian king's failed expedition, thwarted by the treacherous terrain and weather on the path to Meroe. Yet, the twilight of Meroe's glory was imminent. In 330 CE, the Aksumites descended upon the city, bringing an end to its rich legacy. The once thriving Meroe, burdened by deforestation from iron production and overuse of its fertile fields, succumbed to the inevitable forces of decline. Abandoned by its inhabitants around 350 CE, Meroe bid farewell to an era, marking the poignant end of the Kingdom of Kush.